Hey everyone, and welcome. We're going to be reviewing WWE's Battleground. It's happening Sunday, SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, and going to be going through my thoughts and over the matches and what holds in the future. SummerSlam is after this one, so I think there's going to be a lot of implications with that. And let's just jump right into it. And the first thing we got, maybe not exactly a match. I think it'll happen sometime on the pay-per-view, but we've had this ongoing storyline with Breezango, the Fashion Police. They've been doing a bunch of cop-related TV show skits, and they've been pretty funny, actually. I think they really found something with these guys. I liked when they initially paired them up, and weren't really doing anything with them. They were a comedy team. They still are, of course, but you know, that's really all they were doing and didn't really have much of a purpose. But now they kind of have their own little segments, their own little niche here with these backstage skits and videos with their fashion police gimmicks, and it's been pretty entertaining. They always start them off with the cork board with like at the police department and everything with all the suspects and such, and they have a lot of good little Easter eggs, which are really fun. You have to kind of pause them to catch them all because they have a ton on there, and the way they banter and stuff, they're really funny. They really are. You can tell they're writing all their skits and everything. So they have a lot of little underlining jabs and stuff and references, and it's been pretty funny. So they've been doing those kind of to just for something fun to do, and now they're kind of sort of making a little storyline with somebody had attacked Tyler Breeze and trashed their office, like, I don't know, almost seems like months ago now. And so they've been doing a lot of like mystery solving, like X Files and Miami Vice and all those other kind of detective cop shows from all the years, and incorporating that into their gimmick and the storyline. And so um, the final one we saw, they said that they're going to try to solve the case at Battleground. So I don't know if it's going to be just a big joke within themselves, or if maybe it's going to be an actual team. They've been interrogating other tag teams and stuff throughout this whole time, so I think it's safe to say that maybe somebody actually did attack them and can kind of start a feud and have somebody either debut or come back. Kind of hard to tell. There really isn't anything like that's obvious. I mean, there's a lot of people who it can be if they want it to be something serious. You have maybe Harper and Rowan reuniting and coming back. They haven't done anything. They're both still on the show. Although I really want Luke Harper to just do something on his own. He's so good on his own that he doesn't need to be in that tag team again unless they like really, really make him serious. So I don't know. I mean, that's possible. And if they want to bring somebody up, could you bring up Sanity or maybe the Authors of Pain? I know the Authors of Pain have the NXT tag titles, but I don't know. This seems a little too like silly for those type of teams that come up. But I mean, that's all I can really think of. No one really on the roster right now. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. I guess it does seem like it's going to be just a joke or something within themselves. But if it were to bring up a new tag team, I think that would be really cool. So we'll see what happens there. But nonetheless, Breezango, they've been really fun and entertaining since they put them together and on SmackDown. So we'll see where it leads to. Next, we have Sami Zayn going up against Mike Kanellis. And here's to the greatest theme song right now, maybe replacing Glorious by Bobby Roode. Let's listen to it for a second. So funny. So total like 80s power ballad, it sounds like. So this is a theme song of Mike Kanellis, of course, who is the husband of his wife, Maria Kanellis. Maria, we all know, was in the WWE for a long time, back in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. And she was always pretty good. They actually kind of had her more of like a ditzy role in the WWE programming, but she was still pretty good and really hot. And So she went on to ROH. I don't know how long she was actually with Mike Bennett, Mike Kanellis, for real, but they were paired together on ROH TV, and that's when she really changed her role, and she became a little more serious and more fierce as the first lady of professional wrestling, and she got over great. She's like one of the best female talkers, in wrestling for a long time now. So she kind of plays the more dominant role of the couple, which is kind of their gimmick, and which is why Mike has taken Maria's last name to really establish that and just to get that reaction. And it's reacted appropriately. I've seen a lot of people like groaning and, oh my God, this is gonna kill him from the start. And no, that's the whole point. It's to make him seem like a weenie kind of and like a douche, and he just comes off like that. And she does most of the talking and kind of sets everything up for him. So I think it's great, and I think it's a real good way to introduce them. This isn't like people that I don't think a ton of people know about, not like Finn Balor and Joe and stuff like that, and AJ, of course, coming in to WWE before, knowing a lot about them. He's not as known, and they're shooting him right to the main roster. He didn't even go to NXT. And Maria, we at least know a little bit better, so I think this is a great way to get these guys started. So they've kind of just started their little lovey-dovey gimmick, coming out, not really wrestling, and then now they've kind of involved Sami Zayn. He's interrupted him a few times, and and they're not having it, and they've had a couple of segments in the backstage. The last one they did was pretty good, where Maria was looking for Sami Zayn and tried to make him apologize to her, and he's saying he already did, and he's just coming out for his matches, and he's at least wrestling. What is Mike even doing here? So, and then from that, Maria slapped him, and Mike smashed a glass vase over the back of his head. So, and with flowers in it. And so that was, that's pretty good. It's pretty simple and just a, good way to start the feud. And they had kind of a little match on SmackDown last week, and Maria got involved, and Mike Bennett kind of I'm gonna keep saying that, Mike Kanellis kind of got a sneaky win, or when he was getting his ass kicked the whole match. So it was okay. There's nothing to write home about. Just a in-ring debut for him to kind of get him going, and their whole gimmick shown in the ring. And so they're going to have another match here at Battleground. It'll probably be a lot longer and better. I think it'll be a pretty good match. I think this is just, perfect pairing for where these guys are. Sami Zayn, as much as we love him, and we still do, he's great. He's going to be kind of in this role, I think, for a little while. I think they really want to establish that he's kind of an underdog, and he can't do that when he's just shooting to the top of the card and everything. So he's going to have great competitive matches. He sells so good, shows a lot of agony. And, he's probably not going to win as often. You could almost say almost like a Ziggler, but almost a better version of that at this point. So I think that's going to just build up for a little while. He's going to be in prominent roles. I think they do see something in him. And I think eventually he is gonna get up there once the time's right. It's gonna break away, and he's gonna have a big win, and he's gonna be a major player. So he's gonna be just fine. So because I do think Mike Kanellis is gonna win this. I think you just have him win, even if it's cheap and Maria gets involved again. We need to establish this new guy, and getting a win over an established guy like Sami Zayn's a good way to go. So that's what I think is gonna happen there. So on to our next match. We're going to have a 5-person #1 contender match for the Women's Championship, SmackDown Women's Championship. We have Becky Lynch versus Charlotte versus Natalya versus Lana and versus Tamina. Not sure if this is an elimination match or not. Probably should have looked that up before I started this, but nonetheless, I think the results will be fairly the same either way. Just elimination match will be have a nice final one-on-one match down the stretch. So for the women, they've had a few multi-person matches here in a row. Had a couple of Money in the Bank ladder matches, and they were great. I really enjoyed the first one, even though there was a big backlash about how the finish happened. But I think it was done well. And then the second match on SmackDown, the quality was much better. Um, and Carmella ended up winning both of those, so she is the first ever Mrs. Money in the Bank. So she has the briefcase, so she's not in this match. This is just for a straight up #1 contenders match, and that match is going to be happening at SummerSlam versus the women's champion Naomi. And Naomi's supposed to be at ringside, so she'll at least have a presence there. She doesn't have a match on the card either. They can even do Naomi versus Carmella in a singles match, not even for the title, but I think they're both going to be, at least Naomi's going to be in the match. I think Carmella could easily be around too. In fact, I think it's possible Carmella could even cash in her briefcase, even though it's not a match. You know, we've seen the briefcase cash-ins so many times just right after a match that's happened, but we've never really seen it where it's after maybe another match that is not even involved the person. It's not like the hardcore title, the old 24/7 rule where you can just have a match anywhere in the arena or outside, as long as you have a ref. But this has to actually be a sanctioned match in the ring. But Naomi's going to be out there. You think Carmella's going to come out at some point. Even if there's a skirmish with Naomi and whoever wins the #1 contenders match, maybe they even get into it or something, or she gets attacked, and then Carmella comes out right there and starts a whole new match right after. So I think that's totally possible. But it'll be interesting. So that's with those two. As for the 5 women in the match, the way to look at it is the winner is going to be facing Naomi if if there's no cash-ins or anything. And so it's got to be a big match because it's going to be at SummerSlam. So that makes me feel that either Becky Lynch or Charlotte is probably going to win this match. I know you have the storyline going with Tamina and Lana seem to be paired together, and Tamina's kind of protecting Lana. So you can, always do that. Tamina has a lot of history with Naomi also, and she's never really gotten a big championship singles match by herself. And so that's possible, but is that going to be for SummerSlam? I'm not really sure. So I'd like to see it come down to Charlotte or Becky. Charlotte, they kind of started a little feud with her and Naomi when she first came over to SmackDown, and they had a couple competitive matches. I was actually at one of those matches when they were in Des Moines, Iowa, and so I think you have a little bit going there, and then they can have possibly the best matchup of everybody for a big SummerSlam spot. And then you got Becky Lynch, who's always going to be there. She's the top baby face. Always gets great reactions. She's been former 2-time champ also. So her and Naomi would also be a fresh one-on-one match. So I think there's a lot of possibilities for sure. And so we'll see what happens. So I think I'm going to say Charlotte if I have to give a final prediction. But I think it could be Charlotte or Becky or Carmella even cashing in. And then I guess maybe you can do a triple threat with Carmella, Naomi, and whoever wins that match. So we'll see what happens there. Throat's getting dry. All right. Well, the sound of that is the sound of the tag team title match. The champions, the Usos, going against the New Day. This has been a pretty good feud so far ever since New Day came over to SmackDown. New Day, of course, had the record-breaking long title reign over on Raw, and that was really impressive. And then so they kind of needed a little reboot, and so just moving them to SmackDown, they're pretty much doing the same thing, but they're over on SmackDown now, so that kind of gives them a little more star power on that show, and a top tag team. So good team for the Usos to go against. The Usos have been having a great run right now. They turned heel. They've got a new look. They've got a new attitude, new everything. They're letting them speak more. They have like a great promo style. It's very original. They just kind of go back and forth and like finish each other's sentences and everything. It's a very twinsy thing, but it's awesome, and I think they've been doing it well. They've been great. They've had the longest run of SmackDown Tag Champs so far. They've kind of hot-shotted around since the start of the brand split, but the Usos have definitely been the most dominant of the champions. So they're having a great run right now. you can almost say it's the run of their career, but what I wanted to mention here was I've always been a fan of the Usos. I know their gimmick with the paint and the haka dance, which was cool, but I know it kind of seemed like it got stale and stuff, and it was pretty babyface. But I don't think there's any denying that they've had some incredible matches. There was one year, like maybe 2014 and early 2015, that matches with Cody and Goldust and Harper and Rowan, and you probably don't even remember those too much, but they like had a ton of great matches that little stretch there. Very underrated. So um, and so they always had the great ring work, but now they have these great characters now. So they're just hitting it out of the park right now. And so they're going against the New Day. The New Day is still great. They're still funny. You know, they're still kind of doing their same thing. It's a little stale. So you know, I don't think they have like you know as you know, I don't think we feel the same way. They still get a great pop and everything, but you know, they could use something new and not exactly new. I would actually like to just see them kind of branch off into singles runs and stuff, and they can still be a stable and they can still dress in their New Day stuff and come out to the music and dance and everything. But I'd just like to see them kind of branch off because they're three great talents in different ways. So you know, you have just three more guys that you can just thrust into the singles run and at different combinations and big matchups and stuff. And then they can always come back to a tag team if they need some, and they do right now because there's not very many tag teams. Um, so I think they've been good. This has been a pretty good feud. I feel like the Usos are. I don't know if they're going to win, but I think they're going to still be the tag champs. So I believe they're going to have one more match going into SummerSlam. I think this is. There's not too many tag teams on SmackDown right now. They've broken up a few of them, and the other ones are kind of a little like more on the comedy side. So I think they're gonna have one more big match at SummerSlam. I think it could possibly be a ladder match. I think that would be great with these guys. So maybe some sort of gimmick match, but I think one more match for SummerSlam. So we'll see how that goes. All right, and so we're gonna pause this right now, and then I'll have a part two put up here. Make sure to check that out for the main matches. And all right, we'll get to that soon.